What started as an insider whisper in February 2026 is now confirmed. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier broke the story back in March, and just this week, PlayStation Studios boss Herman Hulse told staff in a town hall that going forward, all PlayStation single-player narrative-driven games will remain PS5 exclusives. No more PC ports for big story games. Ghost of Yotei staying on PS5. Saros, console exclusive. Same thing with Marvel's Wolverine coming out in September. Multiplayer live service games like Marathon, Helldivers, and the upcoming Fair games will still be multi-platform on PC, Xbox, and maybe even Switch, but these single-player blockbuster games that made PlayStation famous, they're going back behind that only on PlayStation wall. For the last 6 years, Sony has been slowly opening the gates. God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima usually all came to PC about 1 to 2 years after launch. The strategy on paper made sense, extra revenue with little to extra no development costs, thanks to studios like Nexus who were handling the ports. But something changed. Recent ports have just not moved the needle the way Sony had hoped. Insiders say several big single-player games underperformed on PC relative to their console numbers. The experiment that looked like free money suddenly started feeling like free advertising, but for the wrong platform. We also have rumors of Xbox's next console, aka Project Helix, which is said to be more of a console/PC hybrid, and apparently that's going to offer all kinds of game stores on there. So apparently you'll be able to use Steam, GOG maybe, Xbox's own store. So it wouldn't look very good if you can go on Xbox's console and start buying PlayStation games. That's another big reason why they're also canceling this port of games to PC, just because they don't want the competitors' hardware being out there and you being able to buy single player games on the next Xbox instead of the next PlayStation. So why this sudden U-turn? 3 big reasons stand out. First, let's talk about hardware and software sales. The PlayStation 5 has been selling exceptionally well, but Sony's core business of selling consoles and games has been struggling this entire generation. They have had a lack of major single-player games, and those that have been released have not been selling well. Additionally, Sony decided to focus on live service and abandon single-player titles, chasing that elusive live service dragon. This strategy has been a complete failure for them so far this generation. The only successful live service games is Helldivers 2, while Conquered is the biggest flop in gaming history, Marathon's a bust, and Fair Games is being reworked into an extraction shooter. All these games have been giant flops for PlayStation during the PS5 generation and taken a significant toll on their finances. They need to keep purging all these DEI activists from their studios and just get back to making badass video games. Second, sales reality. Bloomberg's reporting is clear. Some recent PC releases just didn't justify the effort. Console versions still dominate sales. The long delay between PS5 launch and PC launch was meant to protect hardware, but it also meant PC players waited and sometimes didn't buy at all. Sony apparently looked at the numbers and said, why are we giving away our best content? Third, focus. Hopefully Sony is going to start doubling down on what it does best. Premium story-driven single-player experiences. By keeping those locked to PS5, they create must-own games that sell consoles and keep the PlayStation experience special. Meanwhile, live service games, the riskier bets, will still go multi-platform to chase the largest possible audience and recoup costs more quickly. Let's hope it's a return to the classic PlayStation playbook, make incredible single-player games and keep them exclusive and let the hardware fly. Single-player experiences are once again Sony's crown jewels, and they're staying that way. Smart move or missed opportunity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one of them. Next story. All right, guys, so this one's actually really scary to think about and kind of gives me 2011 vibes. So Colin Moriarty, the founder of Last Stand Media, he used to be part of Kind of Funny Games and IGN back in the day. He covers everything PlayStation. He's a huge PlayStation guy. He was actually in charge of the entire PlayStation coverage at IGN. Left IGN with his buddy Greg Miller to do Kind of Funny. Got fired from there for crazy reason. Go look that up. And then started Last Stand Media and brought back all his PlayStation coverage. He has a show called Sacred Symbols, like a PlayStation podcast. Apparently his PSN account was hacked. So here's the story here. He talks all about it. We'll go through it. So my PSN account was hacked, seemingly as part of an ongoing sophisticated series of moves against both random and prominent users. Indeed, I was told by someone a few days ago that I was going to be targeted, and he was right. He was also hacked. So the guy told him that he was also being targeted. He was hacked as well. So here, I guess here's the email between those two. So Colin, just warning you, they have your information and are going to try and take your account today. Here's Colin's response. Thanks for the heads up. I actually changed my password recently and I have 2-factor authentication. So there's literally nothing else for me to do. If it is what it is, as shitty as that can be, hopefully nothing comes of it. I'm sorry again that you went through all of that. By the way, just awful. Have a nice weekend, Colin. So that was the exchange between him and the guy who warned him that his account was going to be hacked. And lo and behold, it was. And here's Colin talking all about what happened and how his account got hacked. So some important information. I wasn't phished, didn't click on any links, didn't randomly put my password somewhere, etc. I am completely positive of this. At the time this happened, my email started getting spammed with hundreds of random emails from all sorts of sources. Substack, EA, AliExpress, Slack, shit I'm not even signed up for. So it sounds like the people who were trying to hack his account were also sending him all this spam email to try and get him to click on something, and it didn't work. I then got a text message that my PlayStation Network email address was changed. Then I got a text message saying my two-factor authentication was turned off. Frankly, how can any of this even be possible? Someone isn't feeding information from the inside or has some sort of bespoke access to things they shouldn't. It makes no sense otherwise. I don't want to speculate, but it seems like a pretty serious technical and security breach. Gives me 2011 vibes. So here he is now talking with PlayStation support to see what they can do about the whole situation and seeing how they can help him. So PlayStation support with zero help. Though the person I spoke with was perfectly nice, said my situation has entered a queue and it will take a week from the see if they can give me my account back. And they seemed to not at all be interested that I was positively not phished, that my email address was randomly changed, and that my 2FA was shut off and all the rest. So it seems like PlayStation support was no help at all. And this guy, like I said, Colin's very big in the PlayStation world. So if they're treating him like this, you and me are fucked. Don't keep any money in your PlayStation wallet. I'll tell you that right now, because I read somebody else, who might be in the comments, I'll take a look. He had his account hacked too, and he had like $50 sitting in his PlayStation wallet, and they took that money from his wallet and bought a bunch of Roblox, whatever the currency is called for Roblox. I did try to explain that I am a prominent media person in the PlayStation space and that I likely am being targeted as a result. This has been happening to random people as well, as we covered on Sacred Symbols. So that's his PlayStation podcast. They seem totally clueless about any of this, even though it's been circulating for months and people have already been targeted and been dealing with account issues. Needless to say, if I don't get my account back, I'm retiring from gaming and podcasting forever. So let's hope it all works out. In the meantime, be vigilant out there. Not that anything I could have done whatsoever would have stopped this. So it seems like someone was just able to hack his PS account, get through his email address, change his email address and password, and also just bypass his two-factor authentication, which is crazy to me because that's supposed to protect your account. Like I have mine on now, so if someone tries to like log into my PlayStation account, they'll send me a text message on my phone. I've actually had accounts, like I have an old what is it for Fortnite Epic account that I used to use before on my PC to play Fortnite. I haven't been on that account forever. I still get random text messages sent to me telling me to put in a code to log into my account. So someone's been trying to hack into my account on Epic for a while, but they never got through. So here he is talking with Dustin, one of the other co-hosts for Sacred Symbols, is the PlayStation podcast. So it says, P.S. Dustin was sent this from my hacked PSN account. It's fairly obvious to me anyway that there's some sort of insider access behind this. How can Dustin be next if he has his password and 2FA on? Unless, so it seems like somebody inside of PlayStation is doing this to them. So look at the message. That's Colin's PSN name, and this was sent to Dustin. You're next. So it seems like someone on the inside of PlayStation is doing this to them, which is crazy because if this person gets caught, they're going to be fired and possibly brought up on charges. So more details for the curious. I spoke to my connection at PlayStation PR who helped me escalate and to whom I am thankful. Multiple friends at Sony-owned studios reached out to me unprompted to say they also asked to escalate the situation internally through their own means. I even reached out to the mayor of gaming and my old pal Greg Miller. Wow, they haven't talked in forever, and he's actually reaching out to Greg. Wow. So I even reached out to the mayor of gaming, my old pal Greg Miller, to see if he knew anyone who could help. He knows everyone, always has. I am grateful for his assistance as well. I'm sure a voicemail from him was the last thing he expected. Yeah, that's crazy. Like those two haven't talked in years. They had a big falling out. That's crazy to think that that happened. Wow. I totally appreciate the digital games argument and will be real with you. I don't really give a shit about my library, in which I think I have like 700 games. I won't touch 99% of them ever again. I care about my trophies and saved data, period. I understand I am an edge case in this regard, but felt like I should be clear why I'm actually bummed so as not to be disingenuous. So he's a big trophies guy. He's always, he'll beat games and like completely like 100% them and get all the trophies. Like him and Greg, they were always big trophy hunters in the PlayStation games. Myself, personally, I can care less about trophies. Whether or not I become a G.I. Joe YouTuber depends entirely on the outcome of this situation. I understand. So he's a big G.I. Joe fan. He has a ton of G.I. Joe figures. He collects them and he talks about them. So that's like his second hobby. He's gaming and then G.I. Joes. I understand these are major advantages most people affected do not have. I acknowledge that fully. So like I said, he is a really big personality, like media person in the PlayStation world. Like I said, if him and Greg from like 2010, 2011, all the way to like 2015 were the go-to source for PlayStation news. They've had the biggest podcast in PlayStation with Sacred Symbols. Podcast Beyond. That was their baby. They made that the biggest PlayStation podcast in the world. And then they split off and did Kind of Funny, which is also huge in covering PlayStation, other types of media. And then he did the Last Stand Media, which again, Sacred Symbols, I think for a while there, if not still is, the #1 PlayStation podcast in the world. So he has a lot of pull and say in the industry. And if he can't get any help, then it's bad news for you and me if this happens to us, people. So here is an update from Colin about what's going on with the whole situation with his PSN account. So update, I called support before I even talked to anyone at Sony that I know. They called me back just as they said they would. I'm not entirely sure if it was because of my original call or because Sony people stepped in. Either way, they told me it would take about 3 weeks for them to get to have any answers, which seems effing insane. They removed my credit card info, etc. from the account in the interim, but seemingly couldn't mass change the password or boot others off the interim. Okay then. If I don't get my account back by tomorrow, I'll file with the Better Business Bureau, as has been recommended. I'd be more patient if it was my fault, if I was phished or clicked a bad link or otherwise did something. Then I'd be like, okay, I get it. But did absolutely nothing, and in fact had an account with an alphanumeric password and 2FA. That didn't matter. I'm telling them that they have a serious breach and that seems irrelevant, so I will press. So it seems like PlayStation might be aware of the situation, but just not wanting to talk about it publicly, because back in, I don't know if you remember, 2011, they had a serious data breach, and whoever hacked them got all kinds of people's like personal information, email address and stuff like that. And the PSN account or PSN network was down for like, I think 2 weeks or maybe longer, maybe 3 weeks. Could have been longer than that. I'll have to look it up. So the 2011 PlayStation network outage was a massive cyber attack on Sony systems that took the PlayStation network, and I don't know that word, service offline for 24 days between April 20th and May 14th, 2011. It compromised the personal and account details of approximately 77 million users, making it one of the largest data breaches in gaming. So that was back in 2011. I remember, and for a while there, PlayStation was dead silent on the entire thing. They didn't speak about it for like a week or two. They didn't say anything. And you couldn't get online with PlayStation 3. You couldn't go in there and play games online. So imagine you got, a multiplayer game that you want to play online on PlayStation and you can. And PlayStation didn't say anything about it for like a couple weeks, and finally broke their silence, and it was just a complete and total shit show for them for a while. They were getting flack from everybody for it. So this could be another one of those. I don't know. Hopefully this isn't something crazy serious. It sounds like somebody on the inside maybe did it, or someone who's able to hack and get in knows of Colin and his crew, and they're targeting them now. It could be someone in another country that happens to know about Colin and what he does with PlayStation, and they're now threatening Dustin too. Like I said, Dustin Furman's his co-host, along with what the hell's the other guy's name? Chris Raygun's his name. So those are the 3 hosts of the Sacred Symbols podcast. So they could be going for him next too. So like I said, this could be somebody. I don't think it's somebody who works for Sony. I think it's somebody in another country, but that knows of gaming. They probably know who Colin is and his crew. They probably know about Kind of Funny and a couple other big video game podcasters out there, and they're targeting them plus random people like you and me. So PlayStation seems like they are doing anything at all right now to fix the situation for Colin, and he's a big prominent person in the industry, and me and you were just Joe Schmo nobody. So right now I would be very careful about putting money in your PlayStation wallet. I wouldn't keep any cash in there at all, because like I said, I see if I scroll through the comments and look, trying to see the other guy in here who's talked about, there's somebody else who also was talking to Colin about it happened to him, and he had $50 in his PlayStation wallet, and they took that money and they bought whatever the currency is for Roblox for like their account. So like right now, people like you and me, I would not keep any kind of cash, digital cash in my PlayStation wallet. And like Colin, he didn't do anything wrong. They just somehow got his account. So it could literally just happen to you one day and you wouldn't even know about it. You can have 2FA on, which I have. I also, my password. So I have my password and 2FA. If someone tries to get into my account, I will get a text message from PlayStation. It seems like they just completely bypassed that and got into his account anyway. So buckle up, people. It's going to be a bumpy ride, and we'll see if this turns into another 2011 situation, or hopefully they're able to find a way to get these people out and switch up the code source and all that stuff for how this works to better protect us. But we'll see how it goes.